So good evening and welcome to More Yoga's Connection Cafe. This series is called Yoga Journeys. My name is Yvonne and I am a restorative and hatha yoga teacher with More Yoga. So Connection Cafe, some of you know that it started on the back of lockdown, a way for us to connect as everything was just, so different and we were away from our friends and just a way to connect, which is great. And then with the Black Lives Matters movements, Beck, the head of marketing, asked me if I would like to host a session in some way. So I came up with this idea to interview yogis of colour, to amplify melanated voices and give everybody a chance to hear the wide and varied ways that we all came into yoga. So I asked the same 10 questions of each of the yogis, and as we were just discussing, we've got different yogis coming on right through till mid-December. So thanks for your support, thanks for tuning in. So tonight's guest is Lildonia Lawrence. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. So welcome to Connection Cafe, and thank you for agreeing to share your yoga journey.
Yeah.
So let's just jump straight in. So before that, you're well, you're healthy, you're happy,
I'm well, I'm good, I'm enjoying life. Yes, thank you.
Marvelous. So we're jumping straight in with the first question. Honoring our ancestors, tell us your family lineage.
Yeah, so my family lineage is a bit of an interesting one. My mum is from Barbados, so we've got Bajan heritage, and my dad is from Alaska. So he's Alaskan, and they met in London, and that was their journey, and so that's how I came to be. It's a bit of an unusual one.
Amazing, amazing. Thanking you. So when, where, and with whom was your first yoga class?
So my first yoga class was about 7.5 years now, and it was literally just a class in a gym. And I was one of those naive people that thought, okay, I've done my body pump, I've done my spin, I'm gonna have a relaxed class now. And I looked on the timetable and I saw a yoga class, and it was just sort of hatha yoga, was just like, see how it goes, went and did it. And then literally like worked muscles that I never knew I had, certain parts of my body that I never knew I had. And literally I was sweating more than I had sweated in the spin class. But I caught the bug and then I kept on going back. And then that was really the start of my yoga journey.
How long ago was that? 7 years ago, you said?
Yeah, 7 years ago, I think.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say it was in the gym, because my first yoga class was in the gym.
Yeah, well. I think it's quite common, isn't it? It's like that entry point.
I was just pumping weights and not really like doing anything else, and was curious of what was going on in that room over there. But hey, now I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Okay, so when did you realize that you wanted to teach yoga?
So actually thinking about it, it was more than 7 years ago. Time flies. It was probably about 9 years ago now. And prior to me starting yoga, my mum was always a yogi, and telling me, she was always telling me about the benefits. She did hot yoga, so she done what was Bikram and is now Fierce Grace, and so it's always kind of been there in the background, and I've always been aware. And sort of I was working in my day job, so I'm a life coach and I work in mental health, and I was doing that sort of work and it was ticking along, and I was teaching other fitness classes, Zumba and bits and bobs, and I was doing my yoga practice just purely for me as a part of enjoyment. I started working more with one-to-one clients, and I was working with people who were pre and postnatal, and it sort of resonated with me that I would need something that's more mind body to work with them. And even though I had yoga in my own life, in my own practice, it sort of hadn't occurred to me to take it forward as something I would offer up. So at that point I said, actually, maybe this is something that I could, take from my own personal practice and add as something I can share. And then actually I started off with a pre and postnatal teacher training. And that was really beautiful. And it was like a lovely 8 days with some really fantastic women. And we literally just focused on pre and postnatal, birthing, pregnancy. And then it sort of went from there. After that, I did other CPDs. And of course, I did my full Hatha and Vinyasa training. And then it went from there, really.
Okay. So going back to your original teacher, are you still in touch with that teacher from your like first class?
Yeah, so we stayed in touch for maybe 6 years because I then started teaching at that same gym.
Oh,
but
wow.
now, unfortunately, we've both kind of gone in different pathways and different journeys. But luckily, I do still speak with like the ladies who trained me in pre and postnatal. My very first teacher training, and I'm really, really close to that teacher as well. She's lovely.
Okay, so moving on to talk about the training. No, in fact, when did you realize you wanted to teach?
Yeah, so I think that must have been about 4 years after I'd been practicing it. It had such a profound impact on me and on my life that I was like, this definitely is something that I have to work with a little bit more. And there was a particular student that I was working with. She'd had her baby and she was trying to get back in shape, and so I was working with her from more of a fitness perspective, but she'd actually disengaged with her lower body. So she was finding it really hard to engage the muscles in her lower body, which in the fitness world would just be like, come on, try harder, you know, it's that kind of mentality. But actually I realized that due to the, you know, she'd been through quite a traumatic birthing experience, and she needed something more. She needed to reconnect with her body. She needed to get to a place of calm and center and soften and sort of love herself. From being from the fitness background, we're kind of taught to like punish ourselves. So that's when I was like, actually, what I'm doing in my own personal practice could really benefit this lady. And that was like kind of the catalyst that made me want to go and train. And that was, yeah, about 4 years after I'd been practicing.
Excellent, thank you. So where was your first teacher training and who was that with?
Yeah, so that was with a company called GARRO, and it was in Bushey near London.
Okay.
It was a really, really beautiful course. I mean, it was just so holistic and so caring, and it was just such a held space. They all got us to bring items to put on an altar at the beginning of the 8 days. We all shared our own experiences related to birth, pregnancy, people we know, or our own experiences. And it was just a really, really like sort of nourishing space. And it sort of just fueled the fire that I wanted to teach even more. It was really lovely.
So you did the pregnancy first, then you did the Vinyasa and Hatha.
Yeah.
How much later did you do the Vinyasa and Hatha?
I think it was about 1.5 years after. Okay. So I was teaching like yoga inspired workouts from like the fitness background, but I really wanted to ground with the full course, and I wanted to go to more general population as well. So that was about 1.5 years later, and I did that with Sally Park's yoga.
Okay, cool. So is Sally your teacher? Who would you say your teacher is?
Who would I say my teacher is? So probably because I did with Yoga Grow first, I would probably like think of them as like my original teachers who kind of initiated me into the fold.
Okay, yeah. Wonderful. Can you remember to both of your trainings, how many people of colour were on your trainings?
So in the first training, I was the only one. And in my second training, I believe there were 2 of us, and that was quite a big group. I think there was 27 of us, and I think there was just 2 of us. So. And
in the first group, how many were in the first group?
The first group was small. There was 8 of us, and I was the only one. And we did actually touch on it a bit in the course because it was pre and postnatal. We had to work with baby dolls to represent the babies for the mum and baby section of the course. And it became quite apparent because all the babies were white babies. So there was like this awkward moment where they were like handing out the babies, and then there was just like this realization of like, oh, actually, not every baby is a white baby. And then we all, you know, we kind of had a laugh about it, but it was something that did come up during that training.
And are you aware that did they change that part of the training? Are the babies now more diverse when they hand them out, maybe?
Well, after that, they stopped teaching because the teachers moved to different places.
Right.
But I did do a similar conversation like this actually with Sarah, my teacher, about race and parenting during lockdown. So this is someone
Okay.
that we've still continued to have as a dialogue between us, even though she's no longer leading teacher training.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. See, it's an interesting one, the teacher training and, you know, the representation on the courses. But slowly now, you know, rest in peace, George Floyd.
Yeah.
Hopefully things will start to change where, you know, there's maybe scholarships being offered, and actually, you know, people are feeling more comfortable to go into the spaces, because, you know, the numbers slowly are increasing. There was more people of colour on my training than I'd seen in previous ones that I was aware of. So we can only hope that it will continue to improve.
I think so. And I actually don't teach any classes at the moment, or really in general in studios. The majority of my classes have been in community settings. So either classes that I've set up or classes that have been funded by Sport England and things like that. And the class that I've been teaching of yoga for the longest, it was in a library and it was funded, it was £3. And that class was really diverse. And I did get a lot of feedback like, oh my gosh, you know, a teacher of colour or a black teacher. I didn't think there were black teachers. I didn't think we could do yoga. So I think as well that representation definitely like does make an impact for future people to feel comfortable and safe to explore yoga.
Absolutely. And do you think that the settings, rather than like, you know, a boutique studio, is again more appealing maybe for people to feel comfortable to come in?
Yeah, I think that's a big thing as well, because I myself have had experiences where I've felt uncomfortable in certain studios, or I've had specific comments and things like that. And so I think if it's a more inclusive space, you're just generally going to end up getting a wider variety of people. So it's just really important to make sure that we're not being exclusive with our spaces, with the locations, with how it looks, with the marketing, all the things that we kind of know about, but that are still a problem at this moment.
Okay. And you mentioned Sport England funding. I know I'm slightly digressing from some of the questions, but because of some of what you're sharing, it sounds so very interested. I want to kind of pick out a bit more. So can you share with us a bit more about the Sport England funding that you mentioned?
So I've been lucky enough to have been funded by a few different people over the years, and an organisation that I work with is Sport at the Heart, who are a really fantastic organisation in Brent, and they provide low cost or free sports activities for members of the community. So with Sport at the Heart, we were able to deliver yoga classes for £3 in the library, and that went on for a long time. We've had to stop, of course, because of COVID, and we've not been able to pick up again. But that was just like such an amazing experience, because teaching those classes and like looking at the people around me, it looked very different to the classes that I myself attend. And I could see why it was actually the community, it was actually the people who live in the area. Whereas even me, because I live in zone 4, I mean, I would travel into zone 1 or 2 to practice. So it was just really nice to be just surrounded by people who live in the area, all different backgrounds. And yeah, it's just a pleasure to be able to offer that.
Lovely, thank you. That's really interesting. And so I think there's feedback on my mic, so I'm moving back a little bit from the screen. So moving on, highs and lows of the wellness industry. So start with the lows, and then let's end on a high. So what are the lows that come to mind, if any?
I think one of the lows of the wellness industry is that for many of, you know, my colleagues, my peers, we came into this industry for the love and the passion of our modality, whatever that may be, whether it's yoga, holistic therapies, Reiki, and they're all practices which encourage us to focus inwards, which is beautiful. However, with the increasing popularity of social media, We're expected to offer our craft in an outward manner. And that's something that I personally have struggled with like a lot, because, you know, you're encouraged these days, have a YouTube page, be on Instagram, be on Facebook, out. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is the exact opposite of what the teachers tell us and what we're trying to imbue in our practices. So I've found that that is a really difficult thing to contend with. And, you know, one of the best yoga teachers that I've ever experienced was this guy when I went to Barbados, and literally I found his poster on a tree and it said Yogi Mark and a phone number. And I just called it. He didn't have a website, he didn't say have anything, and we just met every day and practiced yoga. But, you know, in modern times in UK, USA, Canada, you know, unfortunately,
that ain't gonna work.
It's not gonna work. So that is something that I find a struggle and a bit of a low in the wellness industry.
Okay. So what are your highs?
My highs, I think the high is that in many ways, access to wellness in general is a lot more, even though we're talking about it's not accessible maybe in physical spaces, because double-sided coin, because of the internet and social media, it's much more widely accessible to a lot of people. So if people are nervous to go into studios, if people are nervous to go and see a therapist or something like that, they can get information, support and guidance online, which I think is really, really positive. For example, teaching during lockdown, my dad joined my classes, and that, yeah, and I mean, like, he's a big 6'3" Alaskan guy. That is not something that he would have done before. I've been telling him for years to try it. No. But that barrier through Zoom was like, okay, I can give this a try. You know, if I really need to, I can turn my camera off. But he never did, and you know, now he's got his own mat, and he, you know, he's just
amazing.
Yoga life. Yeah.
Is he converted? Have you converted your father?
He's converted.
Amazing. That's great. Really great. Cool. So, what got you through lockdown?
What got me through lockdown? Okay, of course, yoga. It got me through lockdown, and movement in general. So a lot of dancing, a lot of online courses. Walking was really therapy for me, because we were allowed to exercise outside. That was really powerful for me. And then also like creativity. So when we had the sad and untimely death of George Floyd, rest his soul, I channeled that into creativity. I wrote some poetry, I made some videos, I put them out, and that actually kind of gave me a strength, a purpose even more. So that was something that, out of something bad, unexpectedly allowed me to channel energy into hopefully bringing some positivity or working towards change in our society. So that really, really helped me.
Have you had any of your poetry published?
Yeah, so I'm going to be, there's a few little bits that are going on. So there's going to be one piece that's going to be published soon, and then the main sort of poem that I did, I actually published that on YouTube and IGTV, and and it went really quite far, which I didn't expect. But I just I felt like at this time, this is the time to speak. It's always felt very unsafe to speak on these issues. I think with it being locked down and everyone open and receptive to consuming, and also the anger and tension that was boiling up, it felt like this is the time now, get this out now. And so I sort of, you know, use that platform.
Amazing. So well done. I had no idea about the poetry as well. Did you want to share anything tonight? Not to put you on the spot, but I didn't know if you had anything there ready to share. No pressure.
Okay, I could share a poem.
Yeah, if you want to, if you're comfortable. It's just that you've just brought something else to the table, so I thought, why not?
Okay, why not? I'll it won't be about BLM probably.
Whatever you're drawn to. If you want, we can finish the questions. If you want, you can do it at the end, so you've got time to think which one you want to draw.
Okay, I'll do it at the end. I have one that I'm thinking of. I'll do it at the end.
Yes, that'd be amazing. So what? Yeah, how exciting! Woo! We didn't talk about that, so it's great.
We didn't actually.
Nice surprise, lovely. Okay, so coming back to the set questions, you know, George Floyd, may rest in peace. How many did you notice? Did you get many new followers as people diversified their feed? And were you approached by studios who were also, you know, waking up to the fact that they needed to diversify?
I did get a lot of new followers during that time. I mean, it was quite an influx. It was very like, wow, like who are all these people? A lot of my content was getting reshared, people I didn't even know, which was really positive. Of course, you hope that they stay and still want to engage in that conversation rather than, you know, being on the buzz for the moment. I did get a lot. I didn't get approached by any studios actually, but what I did get approached by was I did a project with some filmmakers on doing a spoken word workshop with some young people around Black Lives Matter, and also I did a similar workshop with Arsenal Football Club, Arsenal in the Community. They have they have a girls team, and we did some work around that too. So it's actually been quite nice to be able to work with the younger generation, because these were like 14 to 18-year-olds.
Okay,
so
what,
that
the
was
youth
the kind
team?
of direction it went. Yeah,
what,
exactly.
The girls' youth team?
They're the community team, so they're like,
amazing.
Yeah, just girls that play for fun, basically, but through Arsenal.
What, at Emirates?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's been nice.
Excellent. Are you doing any ongoing work with them, or was that just?
Yeah, we've been doing work all through lockdown every Saturday, so it's been really lovely. We've been doing loads of different things. We've been looking at that. We've been looking at body image. We've been looking at mental health, stress. I've been doing yoga and meditation with them. So we've been basically covering the wellness spectrum.
Amazing. Well done, you.
Thank you.
Okay, and yeah, that's really great, because again, it's like sharing stuff with the youth of today coming up. So that's a great opportunity. Thank you for that. So now coming towards the end, before we have an unexpected poem as well. So what does the rest of 2020 look like for you? What you got coming up? What's in the diary? What you're excited about? Not excited about?
So at the moment, I don't think I've mentioned on here, but me and you spoke, Yvonne, I'm in Italy at the moment. So yeah, I've been in Italy for about just coming up to 2 months now. So I'm able to work remotely from here, which is really lovely. So alongside teaching with my classes and things like that, I'm doing a lot of the mental health work and the work with young people, which I'm all doing remote, which is really great. I'm looking forward to that. Running a yoga course, which will start from next week, and also I'm just developing some mind-body packages for my business. So that's the kind of little project I'm working on at the moment. So lots of things that I'm looking forward to, mainly just sort of getting my head down and keeping on working, because even though lockdown has been, you know, so devastating in so many ways, and we've had so much loss and grief, at the same time, loads of people in my life have had like awakenings and opportunities to like realize what's important to them. And I feel that I've had that also. Of course, it's been hard, and I've missed my family and friends, and there has been difficulties, but there has been so much beauty in terms of like having conversations like this, releasing poetry about race and diversity, having conversations with young people about issues maybe they would have been scared to bring forward. So I'm just excited to just keep that energy going, really.
Amazing. So tell us about the yoga course. When you say you got a yoga course starting, what's the course?
So it's just I call it yoga fusion, because basically we do our traditional asana, but I might throw in something else, a bit of movement, or other body somatic practices. And yeah, I run those like monthly, but I took a little break for summer, and I'm starting up again next Thursday. So I run those. So I'm looking forward to starting that up again.
Amazing. All via Zoom.
all via Zoom for now.
Yeah, it just proves the point. You know, Zoom is like just so powerful, and you're still doing your mental health job
I
from
am.
Italy.
Yes,
So
exactly.
working from home takes on a whole new meaning, right?
It really, really does. But I think Zoom brings something to you, like seeing other people's faces, like practicing on Zoom is so, it is connecting, like as opposed to say, you know, when you do a YouTube video, that's wonderful as well. But there's something so lovely about seeing the teacher and the other students and just knowing that people are practicing with you at the same time.
Great, great. Okay. So any final thoughts, comments, anything you want to share before you decide which poem you're going to recite to us?
Yeah,
Any final words?
Yeah, I think my final words are just that, you know, I really feel like with this lockdown, that phrase like where there's dark, there's light, and I just want us as yogis, we have that light within us to just try and keep holding on to that light to bring forth whatever we can birth during this time, because there is a major sort of global shift at the moment, and we are the kind of people that are holding that space for that. So I think we should go with it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
No problem.
So, what poem are you going to share? I'm super excited.
Let me
have a moment.
Okay.
And actually, while you do that, we can see if there are any questions. So thank you guys for tuning in once again. So if you would like to ask Lildonia a question, please either put it in chat box, or if you'd like to, you can unmute and ask the question directly. Otherwise, we'll just sit quietly and wait for a poem. But yeah, feel free to ask any questions, anything you want to know more about. Do please ask away.
Okay. I do have my poem, so I'm happy whenever you're ready.
Okay, we'll give it another few seconds.
Okay.
See if anybody has a question. Maybe not. Okay, we'll go for the poem. Thank you so much.
Okay, this is very unexpected, but thank you for receiving this poem. So this poem is called Scar Tissue. Okay, so I touch you. Run my fingers over your ridges and nodules. You are tight, uncomfortable, rigid and unmoving. You cause me pain sometimes sharp, sometimes acute, sometimes dull. Other times I almost forget you're there. My life moves on, almost as if it never happened. And then you're back again in an instant. A wrong move, a sharp turn, and flashing pain sears through you, burning me, reminding me of who you are, reminding me of who I am. But something's changed. I hear a message. I decide to embrace you, love you, learn you, work with you. My oily hands slide over you, caressing you, working out the knots, releasing the tension, reliving your story, remembering that you've been hurt too. And day by day, with each stroke, each caress, you grow softer, more responsive. You yield to my love. You tell me you're here for me, here to protect me. Had you not entered my life, I would have not healed. And so I love you, accept you, and embrace your wisdom. Open to my scars and moving forward on my path.
Ooh, amazing. Thank you so much.
No
wow. Look, you're getting claps.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lildonia.
No, thank you for having me, and lovely to see everyone else who's here as well. Oh, the title of the poem was called Scar Tissue, and I wrote it after having gynae surgery actually, and just learning to love my body, my womb, my yin energy, and just embracing that scar tissue as a part of me. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. When did you write it?
So I wrote it about 3 years ago.
Amazing. So a note from Amanda says, that was beautiful. Thanks for sharing your story, Lildonia. Oh, wow. So, guys, any one and all, try not to say guys, are there any other questions? Otherwise, we'll let this beautiful lady go off into the Italian night. You're very welcome, Sam. Thank you for, thank you. You're most welcome.
And one question, maybe two.
Go for it, Emma.
What's it like in Italy? Is there a difference between UK and Italy? And two, you have these, is it 4 different specialities? You do yoga, you do fitness, life coaching, and,
mental health. The
yes.
mental health and life coaching are quite closely related, yes.
Is there a favorite? Do you have a favorite and why?
Okay, thank you for those questions. I'll answer that one first. I don't actually have a favorite. I really don't have a favorite. I don't think I could live without any of them. And I'm very lucky that I'm able to intertwine them all together. So if I was working with a client with anxiety, I'd most probably do a bit of coaching, a bit of mental health work, a bit of meditation, and a bit of yoga. So they kind of all go together. And yeah, I love them all. But probably, like for me, for my own life, would be yoga. Yes, thank you. And the second one, in relation to what's it like in Italy, is that compared to the UK in terms of COVID? So it's actually really different here. It's there, you know, everyone is wearing masks, and we have to put gel when you go into the shops, like it's mandatory. Like as soon as you enter the shop, they'll be like, hey, anti-bac your hands and stuff like that. So it's much more like people are really sticking to the rules, and you will sort of see people like cleaning their hands out and about, but it's without the energy of fear. That I live in London, and I found that there was almost not necessarily sticking to the rules in my area, but then there was the energy of fear at the same time. So that's something that I've really noticed as a comparison. So even though I'm wearing my mask and I'm like, we have to, I feel more calm in this environment because it's almost backed by a, I don't know, by a groundedness. So I found it quite different.
Thank you, Lildonia.
Thank you.
No problem.
What I meant about Italy, thanks for explaining COVID,
Okay.
because I plan to go to holiday, fingers crossed, to Italy in November.
Yeah.
But who knows with the numbers rising in the UK. But I wondered, do you feel that yoga is different in Italy versus UK? I guess the students that come to your class, if it's in person, is okay. I guess people speak English unless you're fluent in Italian, but is there a difference in how people enjoy yoga there or how people practice there?
Well, I haven't noticed too much of a difference, and because things are still a little bit closed, I haven't been out and about. Although I did go to a yoga retreat here, not too far from where I'm staying in Tuscany last year, and it seems quite a similar energy. But the yoga that I've seen practice since I've been in Italy has only been outside so far. So I think it's still outdoors for now. But I don't teach all the classes I teach here are from Zoom, so they're all in English. My Italian, unfortunately, is not good enough yet.
One and all, lovely audience, are there any questions for our lovely guest? Otherwise, I will thank you all for coming once again and wish you all a wonderful rest of evening and a great week ahead. And I hope you can tune in again on 5th of October, where the next Yogi of Colour will be Donna Noble. So Body Positive Yoga, she co-founded the Noir Fit Fest that just happened at the weekend. So that's our next yogi. You can see all the names up until mid-December on the More Yoga Connection Cafe page. So thank you so much. And Lildonia, thank you so much.
Thank you everyone. And it would be lovely to connect with you. I'm on Instagram. There's no other Lildonia. I'm the only one that has my name, so it'll be easy to find me if you wish. Thank you, everyone.
Amazing. Cheers.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Have a great evening. Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye-bye.
I'll call you, Lildonia.
Okay.